Dude, that prints money.
Does it? I don't think it does at all.
Ave Maria, come on.
The
music makes this preview for me.
I'm not buying what they are selling
no,
right
you
there,
don't like
Cameron.
it, huh? All right.
I'm not.
I'll
know
let you
what?
know.
In all fairness, I haven't given a Hitman game really, much love. So.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the game, but.
I don't. Force you
Yeah,
played.
After playing Kane and Lynch, I'm suddenly a bigger fan of Hitman.
Yeah, but Kane and Lynch would make an awesome movie if. Who are they talking about? Billy Bob Thornton and your man John McClane, who gets you all hot and sweaty.
That would be a combo.
Yeah. All right, guys. We got about 40 minutes left in the show, and that's actually great. That means we'll have a little bit more time with Michael Dean. So let's go ahead and bring him on. First, let's check out the webpage. This is this Faramix.com?
Yep.
Okay.
Let me show. Yeah, Faramix.com.
Okay. So let's bring this up right here. Michael Dean, he is the president and CEO. And, of course, we're going to let Michael talk a little bit about the projects that they've been working on. But he was nice enough to come on the show and talk to you guys because, we obviously hear every day in the news about EA and these guys releasing games. And, it's only recently that really a lot of smaller developers are starting to get some news. I mean, Gamecock kind of came out and made their mark in the industry. And so here is a really up-and-coming company. And we'll talk a little bit about the status of the game. But Michael, welcome to the program.
Thanks.
And I'm going to put those down there. So just tell me a little bit about yourself, dude.
Mike Dean. I'm the president and CEO of Faramix Enterprises. And I just celebrated my 23rd birthday last Friday. So, it's going good.
And you know what? That is probably the first thing that viewers are going to say is like, dude, Michael looks pretty young. What are you trying to pull over on us, sweet? But this is like when Cliffy got into it at 14, 15 years old. I think the industry is young, right?
Yeah, he was pretty young.
Yeah, you do look kind of 18 and stuff.
I know.
But that's good. It
I
goes
always
a
have,
long
always
ways.
have.
And the chicks dig it, obviously, right? So, tell us a little bit about Faramix. Tell us a little bit about, who you are. And actually, before we do that, because our viewers like to know, what is your gaming background, where do you come from?
Just like everyone else kind of my age, I grew up around video games. Original Nintendo all the way now to the new consoles. I've always had an interest in more how they did it than actually playing it. Playing through the original Mario Brothers, even newer games like Gears of War, how did they actually develop, how did they do the levels? So with line of sight, the AI, the path, how do they do all that to actually get it to work? Or Assassin's Creed, when they built the buildings, they had to map all the points out of how do you climb this building. So it's more, I was just interested in that the whole time.
It would be the equivalent of and I'm not a car guy, but I'm sure a car enthusiast who's I want to know how the hell this engine inside here works.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the first fucking thing about how a car engine works, but I know it gets me from point A to point B. Is it like that? Just kind of wanting to deconstruct and know more about that?
Yeah, it's pretty much just one big puzzle.
Right.
Even with how the image is drawn on the screen, it's a pretty complicated process when you try to really think about it. The entire game is pretty much just a bunch of lines.
Right.
If this line crosses this line, what happens, or can they cross? It's not. It's not in all its glory. Behind the scenes, it's pretty nasty at some points.
So did you actually take early interest to the point where maybe you were trying to code your own games when you were younger, anything like that? Maybe design or draw some pictures and.
Not so much. Growing up, I always had a love for video games, but also business. And so when I went to school for entrepreneurship first, and I took about 2 years of that before. It was more of a hobby, I guess, on the side than actually what I wanted to do. And so I moved out to California, and I want to do kind of what everyone else is going to do, where I'm going to get a game testing job and work my way up through the ranks.
Right.
But just through school, when I started school here for game development, the actual program's game and simulation programming. But you go through pretty much everything about game development, even story writing, game engines, art. You learn all of it.
So you are, to break it down, your education, how hard was it to find that path to take the courses that you needed to take? Because I know that we got a lot of talented, people out there. Some guys would love to write, and some guys would like to do this and that, and some guys don't even want to have anything to do with it. But one question that we get a lot is, where the fuck would I go, or what do I do?
It was actually hard to find my degree because when I was going through different schools, a lot of them were more maybe art-based,
Right.
or more, modeling, or even just writing. None of them were really, because I wanted to do game development. I kind of wanted to work on a project from the start, concept stage to the very end, not
Right.
just. I didn't want to be a programmer the rest of my life.
Of course.
It's fun,
And
but I don't want to do it.
understand that. Right.
And so I was just, I went to DeVry and just met with some of the people there, and she kind of went through the course, what classes you take, and early on I took, the very first class I took, we did a pitch document and a game design document. And then, like, we did some writing stuff, and the classes I'm in now, we're working with actual game engines, where we're doing our own scripting code, placing objects.
Right.
I'm doing a modeling class too. So we're doing everything. You learn everything about it.
It's actually focused and centric around like actual game development at this point,
Yeah.
right?
I've taken C#, C++,
Right.
Java, like all that programming, but it's not really focused. At least the program I'm in, it's not focused on just programming.
Right.
But you
And
have to learn it at some point.
I'm personally,
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
not a big pro. You go ahead, Cameron.
Mike, sorry. I just wanted to know, like, in high school, how were you thinking about this kind of stuff early on? Because I know a lot of our fans are younger. I mean, they're not really in college yet. And, when did you first kind of get the itch that maybe like gaming was or coding? Like, when did you first start taking these high level courses?
It just kind of it really happened when I took a break from high school. Like when I was going
okay.
through entrepreneurship, it was just the classes I was taking. They were fun. And it's a lot of fun to do accounting, but it wasn't really anything I wanted to do specifically the rest of my life.
So you're looking for a change.
Yeah. So I went home, took like 6 months off of school, and just I was playing World of Warcraft at the time. And
Nice. That'll get your brain going.
But like, I just met people and talked to them, and one of the people I got to be good friends with, she just mentioned game development. And so, my cousins live in California, and so I was like, I'm going to kind of leave the Midwest and just, see
And where are you from?
Minnesota.
Oh, right on.
So-
I did Midwest represent. bitches. Right, Nebraska.
So,
border.
yeah, so I drove out here, and I did the whole, I might as well start school, get a game
Right.
testing job, and just, in one of my classes, Nate posted that, hey, I can do website design, I can program and do some models, but I don't really have a storyline to work with or any designs. And we talked for
And
probably...
that's just as tough nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
really, you've got to have something like that stand out, and it rises to the top because there's a lot of stuff being released.
Yeah, so we talked for probably a good 3 weeks, like kind of developing a game plan, what he would do, what I would do. And it was just one night. It's like 3, 4 in the morning. I sent him an email. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And so like we knew where we were starting, obviously. It was like, all right, well, this is where we're ending. And so we just started doing research and just piecing everything together. Like we needed an artist. So we contracted George, who was our first guy we ever contracted, and he did character art for us. So when we did post for work, we could actually post some kind of art instead of just
Right.
like, hey, we don't have a website yet or any
Right.
art. Do you really want to work for us? And
Right.
so it was-
you were essentially starting from scratch, really. I mean,
yeah, because when I started school last September, I had credits to actually transfer from UND, so I'm a little ahead. Just through I think it was like my first 8 weeks of class. One day I was just kind of sitting there, I'm like, I thought of kind of just an idea. I'm like, I couldn't sleep that night. I kept getting up and writing down notes. And, I just started piecing this puzzle together. And we actually had to do like a game design document, a pitch document, so I used it for that in school. Like my cousin made me a logo, which is actually the game logo that we're still using.
wow,
and
nice.
just started piecing everything together.
So tell me a little bit about the direction that you'd like the company to go.
Well, obviously we want to get funding to
Right.
actually, produce and develop this ourselves. Because right now we're done with pre-production. We've got an 80.
And what is that? Because the average user may not even know what is involved with pre-production. What stage are you at?
Pre-production's when you have to go through pretty much every detail. Like, these are the characters, these are their backgrounds, this is how they talk. We have different chapters for levels. How it actually plays out, or how we're designing it. We started doing art. We even got some models. You really have to do everything. We started even doing music composition, getting these are the characters and here are some of the scenes. How would the music play out? And so it's really trying to get on paper and even, visually too,
Right.
what you really want to do in production.
Okay.
So I mean, it's pretty much. It's pretty
like
much
preparation stage. It's like packing
yeah.
for a trip. And,
Yeah, it's pretty much like if I were to drive back home. I mean, all right, I'm here, and this is. I know I want to get back to Minnesota.
Right.
How am I going to get there? And it's just you pretty much plan all that out, and it will change in production. I mean, details will change, but we've got a very good idea of how a lot of the scenes play out. We've even done, different trailer ideas. We've gone that far. Like, how would we actually advertise this?
Right, and you've got to think about this stuff
Yeah.
well ahead. It's not just like, oh, we've got a done game now. What should we do about it? You
Yeah,
know,
we hired on a few storyboard artists because we had these scenes that, we were trying to think of like how would the camera play out, and like this is such
Right.
a great scene. It'd be a great transition, for this level. How would we do that? And so we had like a storyboard artist kind of piece that together for us, and like so you even have a better idea of what this scene will actually look like once you get it actually made in 3D.
Gotcha.